Hey, it's Tim Patterson. This is Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee for December 7th, 1941. And, I'm wearing the mask because they say we're heading into the deep, dark days of the pandemic. And seeing the numbers spike, I'm sure that's the case. And it's a sad state that we are in. But this week's... I'm going to take the mask off here because, I'm social distancing, right? This week's episode is kind of like the old column that Herb Caen of the San Francisco Chronicle used to write. I mean, he's long gone, but I used to pick up the paper when you had to go into like a store that sold papers from out of town, and you'd like paw through and find, okay, there's a San Francisco Chronicle, let me buy that. Herb Caen wrote for the San Francisco Chronicle. On occasion, he would do this thing where he just kind of connect a bunch of disconnected things and put dots between them, dot, 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 dot. And I always imagine the old Morse code on movies, Exactly. So, also, of course, this date very infamous in history as well.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
All right, so here we go, dot, dot, dot. We're down to 3 finalists on the Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee theme, which I'll kick off in about 3 weeks, so we'll narrow it down. Here are the 3. I've threw out number 1 from last week, so number 2 is a thing called Subway. Number 3 is a thing called Punkadelic. And number 4 is the thing called Harlem at Night. I'm kind of leaning towards that one, but would love to hear your vote, your comments, your feedback. Leave a comment on the blog post or send me an email or leave a comment on YouTube. Doesn't matter where, we'll find it, and somehow we'll figure something out for the early January. All right, so yes, ... 2020 is ending, and first half of December to me always feels sad and dark anyway, weather-wise, of course. But then history too. It's tomorrow is the 40th anniversary of the assassination of John Lennon, a revered figure, a Beatle. And I remember exactly what I was doing when I heard the news. I was with my friend George. I was 25 years old, coming back. He was 25. We were coming back from a yoga class, and we had 3 of us all the same age, in a house here in Salem. And our roommate Roger looked up and says, "We just heard the news. It was on Monday Night Football. Howard Cosell gave us the news." And we just sat there and tried to figure it out, which I still haven't figured out. But, I was thinking about the time. So between today and when that happened in 1980, that's more time than there was between the time John Lennon was killed and the attack on Pearl Harbor, which was 39 years prior to that, almost to the day. And 40 years ago, almost to the day, since John Lennon was shot, and just kind of putting that into perspective. All right, so what else? Well, it is also the anniversary this week of the death of Roy Orbison. And I mention that because I always thought Roy was one of the best singers. He was the best singer in rock and roll. He was like Caruso. No one could sing like Roy Orbison. And I happened to see him 6 weeks. He was on tour in 1988. He died of a heart attack December 6, 1988. I believe I saw him in October of that year in Portland at the Paramount Theater. It's very memorable concert. What I remember about it specifically was I was probably about 20 rows out, so good tickets from the radio station I was working at the time, and his amp was aimed right at me, and everything he played I could hear. And when they would do stuff like, "Oh Pretty Woman," other things, his guitar was like right at me. Everything else was kind of a big mix, but I could hear his guitar as clear as a bell. I also have a bunch of friends and family who have birthdays in early December, so it's kind of a mixed bag as far as remembering people and noting people's birthdays. Also, I mentioned earlier that it feels like kind of a dark time with COVID cases and deaths rising. And experts say it's going to be a very dark winter. Oregon, of course, here, still struggling with shutdowns, restrictions, and more, and somehow we'll make it through. I have faith somehow, but a lot of people are being affected. The other thing I wanted to mention, kind of news-wise, is that, and I had a blog post on this, I'll link to this in the show notes, but Exhibitor Magazine did, I think, their 4th survey of the year since March of exhibitors and exhibit suppliers and manufacturers that shows that most people don't expect the industry to really return to normal until late next year, late 2021, or perhaps the first quarter or even second quarter of 2022. That's how dire the events and trade show and conference industry is right now. There's just not a lot of business to be had. There's not a lot of shows going on. People are holding back. And, I really commend Exhibitor Magazine for continuing to kind of keep their pulse on the industry. It's their bread and butter. I'm sure they have I would think they would do that, but they do a really good job of it. They've had webinars that I think anyone can sign up. They're free, and I'll also put links in the article I did that you can go review the webinars, play on demand, as well as download, I believe, the white paper reports that they do. So kudos to Exhibitor Magazine for doing that. And finally, before I kind of wrap it up, this particular episode, personally, a ski season's underway, so I'm really, really happy about that. Hoodoo Ski Bowl is, well, actually, it's kind of interesting. I was riding up with a guy in the chairlift yesterday. We were both masked, of course, and he made the comment that, I think Hoodoo's open earlier than Mount Bachelor, which is like one of the cool, big, expensive ski resorts over in Central Oregon, here in Oregon. Hoodoo's much smaller and much less expensive, but apparently Hoodoo opened before Mount Bachelor, which I thought was great to see. We had good snow, had 2.5, 3 feet of snow, and that should hold. We got more coming this week. I know there's a lot of moisture coming through, and it's going to be cold up there. So hopefully next weekend when I get up there, I go up like every weekend through the season. Maybe grab an extra couple of days during the week at some point. But everyone, of course, is social distancing. The lodge itself is closed. They have restrooms open. Got to wear a mask inside. They have a little cafe you can order from through the window, but you can't go inside and sit down. So when you go up, your home base is really your car, your automobile, and a lot of people take their RVs up and just kind of stay for the weekend or the week, I guess. But they'll kick into full season here, full schedule once Christmas vacation rolls around, and it's always a fun place to ski. I tell you, I've been skiing since I was 7 or 8, and to me it's like Zen. It's it's what I do. I love ripping down the moguls. It's even at this ripe old age, I guess. The other thing I wanted to mention, 2 other things. I still write every morning. I'm still working on a novel, which is a lot of fun, and I keep making progress and feel pretty good about it this week. Weeks go by, and I go, that week I didn't really have all that much success trying to get the story where I want it to go. And then this last week I'll have, a week like, that really worked out. I like that scene. I like the way that is all tying together. So fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. And finally, I want to mention this. Every Monday, this particular podcast comes out. This vlog comes out every Monday. Newsletter comes out every Monday. The other thing I do, which is not related really, but I do this every week. I volunteer at a local community radio station, and I do a 2-hour reggae show, and it airs every Monday night from 7 to 9 Pacific time at kmuz.org. I want to give them a shout out because they've been this will be their 10th anniversary in about 2 weeks, week and a half. On the 17th of December, 2011, they signed on, and it's been a great team effort, community effort. Low budget stuff, but we got a lot of pros helping us out along the way. I was able to be a part of that at the very beginning, and my goal all along was to have a reggae show, and I do that every Monday night from 7 to 9 o'clock. So if you like reggae, check it out. It's kind of fun. And I guess the other thing I'd say about that is I had a rather small collection of reggae, when I started this, but over the last 9 years since I've been doing the show, that list has expanded thanks to a lot of people donating stuff to me. One of them being a guy in Los Angeles that I've known for 30 years who is Bob Marley, a biographer. He's written a number of books about him, but he's also a collector. Things come to him. Roger Steffens is his name, and he has, over the years, digitized thousands and thousands of albums and singles of some of the great stuff that's come out of Jamaica that otherwise would not be preserved. But he's got a lot of them. He and his son and daughter have been archiving all this stuff, and he's given me thousands and thousands of songs. So a lot of that stuff shows up in the mix of what I play on that show. And we do everything from the 60s, early reggae, ska, rocksteady, through the 70s, which was kind of the golden age where Bob Marley and the Wailers and Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer and all those people put out great music. To the 80s, Black Uhura was a big band in the 80s, to the 90s, and even there's a lot of stuff coming out today that is a lot of fun, and I'm impressed by. But we cover like 5 decades of great reggae and ska and rocksteady. It's all there every Monday night from 7 to 9. That's my plug. Have yourself a great week. Should have a guest next week if all things fall into place. Leave a vote. Is it Punkadelic, Subway, or Harlem at Night for the new theme song for 2021 here? All right, that's it. It's the Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee. Again, find me at TradeshowGuy.net.